Last we have seen how to kind of merge two strings together, string cat, okay, string concatenation. Okay, now we'll see another how to compare between two strings. Okay, that is called as strcmp. That is the function that is used. Okay, fine. So stdio.h, and I'll also have to include string.h. Fine. Okay, now string, how to kind of compare between two strings. Okay, fine. So if I just take a character, suppose say str1, okay, and I'll give it suppose a size of 20, and I'll add some values. Suppose say I'll say hello. Fine. And I'll take another character, suppose say str2, and that also has a size of 20, and I'll suppose say give it, okay, but with a small h, hello with a small h. Okay, fine. Now I want to check if these two strings are equal or not. Okay, so for that thing we have a function called as strcmp that is already available in string.h header file. Now what this strcmp does is it takes two parameters, okay, and based on that thing it will return a result. Now this result will be either of these three. Either it will be a -1, either it will be a 0, or it will be a +1. Okay, apart from these three values you won't get any other value from this. Okay, fine. So let me just kind of ease it. Okay, fine. So if we get a 0, or if we get a -1 value, okay, in that scenario what it means is like the first string, okay, is smaller than the second string. Okay, that time we get a -1 as a result. Okay, so it basically it says first string is smaller than the second string. Acha, now how does this kind of analyze? Now if we just take this example only, okay, so what this means is basically now these both character wise it is the same, but it is based on the ASCII value of these characters. Now if I just consider this thing, now small h, capital H has a smaller ASCII value, and small h has a bigger ASCII value. So in this scenario what will happen is we are going to get a result as -1. So if you do the string compare, we'll get a result as -1. Okay, now if we are getting that result as -1 over here, we have to save it in some variable. So suppose I'll say int cmp, I'll take an integer variable. Then again, why integer? Because these characters, or these are numbers basically, right? And these are proper integer numbers. These are not even fraction float numbers, right? So that's why I'm just taking an integer. So I'll just say cmp is equal to that string compare, and whatever the result is, save it in cmp. And if it is kind of this thing, then the first string is smaller than the second string. Okay, if the result is 0, fine, if the result is 0, then both strings are equal. Fine, and if the result is +1, then string 2, okay, let's say second string is smaller than the first string. Okay, fine. So that is basically the comparison, and for simplicity's sake I'll simply just say print the value of %d, and I'll just print the value of the cmp variable. And just to clarify that, I'll do something like this: /n cmp is equal to %. Okay, fine. So let's just say compile this. Okay, let's just say compile this. You are getting 0 error, 0 warnings. Let's just say run this. So what I'm getting the value is -1. And as I told you, in this scenario also we'll get the result as -1. Why? Because it is comparing based on ASCII value. Now the ASCII value of capital H is smaller than the ASCII value of small h. Now let's just to kind of refresh your memory. I think so I told you this thing. Capital A, ASCII value of capital A is 65. ASCII value of small a is 97. Fine. Okay, so now if I say capital B, that will be 66, capital C will be 67, and so on and so forth for this one. So small a, or kind of small letters basically, have a higher ASCII value than the capital letters. That's why we are getting this result. Okay, that's why we are getting the result as -1 over here. Okay, now we can use to kind of check if kind of, chalo, let's see, I'll put the first and the small one and the second in the second string in the capital H. Okay, now when I kind of try to compile it and I run it, basically I'll get a value as +1. Okay, then again no signs means it's a positive number. Okay, and if I give both the characters, like both the strings same characters, okay, no difference at all. Okay, in that scenario what you will do is you will get a 0 result. Okay, so we'll be getting only these 3 results, anything. Okay, suppose even if I write hello world over here, fine, even if I write this thing also, in this scenario now this string is bigger, this is smaller, right? So we should be getting a +1 as a result now. Okay, so when I compile this thing and when I run this thing, I'm getting a +1. Okay, so we are not getting anything other than these 3 values. Okay, fine. So this is about your string compare. Now if I want to check if, suppose say, let's take an example in this scenario. Suppose say user, you have a string called as, or let me do this thing. I'll simply say copy this entire thing, paste it in a new one. Okay, fine. String compare basics are done. Suppose say I'll take an example. Suppose say this is your password. Okay, fine, and password is, suppose say abc@123. Okay, now this is your password, and the string 2 which is there, that will be, okay, string 2 will be coming from the user. So I'll simply say, I'll put a printf line, I'll enter the password. Okay, fine. So whatever the password is, we are going to scan it from the user. Okay, and I will say %s, $str2. Okay, so in the string 2 we are doing this thing. Now what we are doing is we will be comparing password with the string 2. If the password kind of matches, then we'll say access granted, or if the password doesn't match, I'll say wrong password, something like that. Okay, so now what I can do is, in this thing strcmp, what I'll say is I'll just put an if condition. If cmp, which is there, that variable, is equal to 0, means when it will be equal to 0, when both the strings will be same. So if that is the scenario, that time I'll simply print a message /n, suppose say access granted, something like this. Okay, and else I'll simply put printf access denied. Fine, I'll just put this thing. This is a simple program now. Okay, fine. I'll just say save this, say strcmp example. Okay, fine. Compiling it, shouldn't be getting any errors, any warnings. Now I'm running it. Fine. Okay, so we have this thing now, password. Okay, so now if I suppose say enter a wrong password, the password was abc@123, I press asd@123. Okay, so I'm getting access denied, this message, right? This is the actual password, right? Now when I try to suppose say run it and I enter the correct password now, abc@123, so that time it is telling me access granted. Then again this is even case sensitive, right? So even if I give, suppose say capital A, capital B, but a small c @123, it won't work. It will be access denied. Why? Because it is checking the ASCII values, right? Now this capital C and the small c that we gave, the value didn't match. So in that scenario it will return a -1 value, right? Directly. So because of that being -1, that access was denied. It was only expecting 0 values. If this value becomes 0, then only it will be access granted. Okay, fine. So this is a simple basic example, I could say, of your string compare.